Then the Harshad Mehta scam came in 1990 that period,
Okay.
and then government felt that there is a need to have a separate regulator who can not only monitor but also develop the securities market, because that's a demand from the industry that there is need to have a very good capital market.
So you have been closely associated with NISM as well as with SEBI for so many years.
And that was also felt that it's only training and certification may not be sufficient. We also need to supply good quality professional manpower to the market.
PGDM is a fully residential program. Any student who comes and takes participates in this program will be spending somewhere around 2 years at the campus. So could you just give us an idea of what kind of infrastructure, what kind of facilities are available for the students, and how these facilities help them develop both at a professional level as well as on a personal level? Hello and welcome to this special episode of the NISM Vodcast. I am your host Nikhil Shinde, and today we are going to talk about something very important for students and professionals who want to make a career in this financial domain. We are going to talk about a flagship program by NISM called Postgraduate Diploma in Management in Securities Market, that's PGDM in Securities Market, and how this particular program can help you shape your career in finance. We have with us a very special guest today, Shri Sunil Kadam sir. Sir is registrar at NISM and also the chief general manager at SEBI. He has a lot of experience both on the academic side as well as on the regulatory side. Sir, welcome to this podcast, and we hope to learn a lot from you today.
Thank you, Nikhil.
So let me start with, sir, you have been closely associated with NISM as well as with SEBI for so many years. Could you take us through the journey of NISM? How NISM got formed? What are the different activities? What are the mandate that NISM actually has?
Yeah, so before we talk about NISM, let me talk about SEBI. Because capital market in early stage was already existing, and it was under regulatory purview of Government of India, Ministry of Finance.
Right.
And then the Harshad Mehta scam came in 1990 that period.
Okay.
And then government felt that there is a need to have a separate regulator who can not only monitor but also develop the securities market, because that's a demand from the industry that there is need to have a very good capital market. And from that perspective, then SEBI Act was created, approved by the Parliament
In 1992.
in 1992, and that act gave the mandate to SEBI to it gave three broader mandate, basically to protect the interests of the investors in securities market, promote the development in securities market, and regulate the securities market.
Right. So promote, regulate, and protect the interest of the large-scale investors.
Correct. So, having given these three broader mandate, SEBI started functioning. And in addition to those three mandate, the government also delegated some of the powers under the Companies Act to SEBI.
Okay.
So broadly, there are three broad powers which were delegated to SEBI. That is issue of the shares, transfer of the shares, and non-payment of dividend.
Okay.
So these three powers were given to SEBI, and then SEBI started regulating the market. The first task was to create regulation for various market intermediaries and various activities.
Right.
So regulation started, then SEBI started taking reform measures to develop the securities market.
Right.
So the first major reform was creating a screen-based trading for securities market.
Right.
Then the introduction of dematerialization of shares in the market, that has brought major changes in securities market. The way we function has totally changed.
Right.
Actually.
That has really revolutionized the
Yes.
entire securities industry.
So you could imagine in those days, like BSC Clearing Corporation used to have 50-60 truckloads of shares coming for a weekly transfer.
Wow.
So that was a huge volume, and keeping in mind that the market is always going to grow, and handling these physical volumes was not possible. So therefore, Depository Act came into existence, and under the act, lot many reforms started places. Like we started in a phase manner dematerializing shares. Simultaneously, we started with other reforms also. Like we then introduced the rolling settlement in the securities market. Then we introduced the derivatives. So all these reforms started and market started growing. So when the market grows, we require large number of intermediaries to deal with the people who are involved in securities market.
Absolutely.
Correct. So when we talk about intermediaries, they require manpower. And second thing is that we also want a large number of investors or should come to the securities market. Now we want them to come. We want them to come as a informed investors.
Right.
So probably what we need to do is that we need to educate them, create more awareness of securities market. So that's a mandate. Government felt that it's very essential.
Right. So if I have to summarize, so that's education for both the investors as well as for the people who are working in the intermediaries. Right.
Correct. And at the same time, we also wanted to have a very good governance culture in the corporates, so that people's interest or confidence in security market grow.
Right. So these are for the people who are sitting at the top.
Right. So that was a thought process, and as a regulator, it was not possible for SEBI to do all these activities on its own.
Right.
And then the thought of some institution who can do for SEBI, that was came into a picture, and then SEBI started working on that thing, and slowly it's started like crystallize its mind on having its own institution who could do this mandate for SEBI.
Right.
So that was a beginning of the thought for creating a separate institution.
Okay. So this was happening maybe in the early 2000s.
Yeah, right. So this was somewhere in 2001 where derivatives started coming into the Indian market.
Mhm.
That's a complex product. At the same time, we started getting large number of foreign institutional investors also coming to Indian market.
Mm.
So as a result, what happened? The volumes have steadily started growing, and then they feel that we need to create more, because more and more people started coming to securities market, and it was not good that we have uninformed investors coming and investing in securities market, and therefore we thought we should do very quickly to deal with that issue. And therefore that during the period between 2001 to 2005, we start crystallize our thought on having an institution.
Institution like an ISM,
Yeah.
and then sometime in 2006 or seven, then the formal registration of an ISM was
Yes. The
completed.
SEBI board approved the concept, and then it said, let's start with that activity. And then in 2006, we formed NISM as a trust as well as society.
Right.
And then a separate kind of division was created initially within the SEBI. And then some of the officers were transferred, and then SEBI started acting as, for NISM. And over the period, NISM started to taking over independently as a separate institution.
Right. So basically, we can say that NISM started functioning sometime in 2009 or 10. That's when the first certification also got launched by NISM in currency.
Correct.
Right. So in terms of what is the mandate, like what are the different activities that actually NISM performs? So could you just throw some light on that?
Okay, so when SEBI decided to start NISM, then it also appointed a consultant to crystallize its framework and the mandate for NISM. So a consultant was appointed, and they gave their report on NISM. So broadly, this report suggested that NISM should focus on creating training or capacity building for the market.
Right.
They should do the certification. They should do the education so that the younger generation also gets attracted to securities market.
Right.
Then they thought that there is a need to have a corporate improvement in the governance so that corporate governance across the corporate is improved.
Correct.
And then they felt that there is also need to have a research in securities market.
Right.
So that is also is important because that helps in policy making and overall growth of the market.
Right. Right.
So that was the beginning of an ISM, and this was a mandate. It started with thing.
Right. So, when we say, since we are talking about the long-term program, so we can say that it falls somewhere in the mandate of educating the potential investors or potential intermediaries who will be coming to this market.
Correct. So capacity building, we can say it's a multiple way we can do it. So one way of doing it was the kind of certification.
Mhm.
So certification is like it's a self-placed, self-learning certification activity.
Right.
So that every intermediary who is associated with securities market has some basic knowledge about securities market and he knows the do's and don'ts of securities market.
Right. This could be the a person sitting in a broking house, or somebody who is a mutual fund distributor, or somebody who is working with demat accounts. So,
Yeah, depository
those lives.
participants. Yeah. So all these intermediaries were kept in mind while designing the certification courses. So that was a kind of basic beginning of the training activity. Then there is a requirement of capacity building, the actual training to the people,
Hmm.
and that also we started simultaneously, and that was also failed that it's only training and certification may not be sufficient. We also need to supply good quality professional manpower to the
Right.
market.
Right.
And from that perspective, we felt that long-term courses, education in securities market is also important for us.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. So, if you have to then, come to the long-term program and specifically PGDM. Now, if a person, if a student who is looking to make a career in the domain of finance, there are many options that are available today, right? So, could you just spend some time on why PGDM in securities market? Whether this is the a unique program. What is it that makes this program stand out from the rest of the programs that are offered by various MBA and business schools
Yeah.
across the country?
Yeah, so when we started thinking about education, we felt that what other colleges or what other institutions are doing, if we do same thing, then how does it serve the purpose for securities market? So then we decided we should have a specialized program which will be focusing only on the securities market training.
Mm-hmm.
Because securities market is anyway vast area and general finance doesn't cover those areas.
Correct.
Because another issue is that it is again a specialized
Right.
area.
It's a niche in itself.
Niche area.
I also completed, MBA in finance sometime,
Correct.
a long time back. But, there were very few subjects in securities market that, we got to learn about.
Correct. Correct. So many of the finance courses does not cover securities market in detail.
Mm.
And from that perspective, we felt that there is a need to have a specialized program in securities market. And thinking of making it more specialized is that we thought we should also give them the practical knowledge about securities market, which is lacking in many in the educational institution because they give only theory.
Correct.
So teaching practical and theory together was one of the special area. Second thing what we did is that SEBI certificates are a kind of gives permit to an individual to act as an intermediary.
Right. These are mandatory, anyways,
Yeah, correct.
through
So they
that
have,
CAPSM
yeah,
regulation.
anybody want to work as an intermediary, he has to obtain an NISM certificate.
Right.
So what we did is that we inbuilt some of these certifications in our courses,
In the course curriculum
course
itself.
curriculum
Wow.
itself. So what happens is that student has got multiple options now. See, one way is that he can complete the course and join any intermediary, any MIIs or any corporate,
Right.
or he has option to start his own business activity.
Oh, so that's also one of the options after completing
Yes,
this course.
yes.
Wow.
So there are many certifications like if, for example, if you talk about investor advisor,
Right.
research analyst, portfolio manager, these are the certificate if student does along with the NISM PGDM course, he will be fully equipped to handle or do that kind of business activity or advisory activity on his own.
Mm.
So our intent is that we don't want to create only a people who want to work as an employee, but also people who are entrepreneur or who will create more job opportunities for others.
Wow. So you'll basically get an entire package out of the course, isn't it?
Correct, correct. And that's a uniqueness of this program because that is something different than what other colleges do.
So when it comes to learning, so clearly theory is not sufficient, especially when we are learning about markets. So I just wanted to understand, what kind of teaching methodology do we use in the PGDM course, right? Is it mostly classroom based learning, or is it a mix of classroom and live training? How do you bring that real world practical flavor into the course?
Yeah, that's again very important aspect of teaching because unlike other colleges where most of the classes they teach theories,
Hmm.
what different thing which we are doing is that we are bringing slightly case study based approaches like that.
Okay.
So idea is that students should learn the concepts by understanding the case. We want them to evolve their thinking, apply their mind, and then take a decision. So from that perspective, case study based teaching is important. Unfortunately, SEBI keeps on passing many regulatory orders, directions, circulars. So all this could be a basic for the case study.
Oh, wow. So you mean to say the cases are also these are practical cases which have happened in the Indian securities market?
Correct. In fact, if you see that we have a lot many case studies developed across the globe, but many of these case studies are on the finance. There
Hmm.
are very rare cases on the securities market. So
Hmm.
what we are doing is that we are also encouraging our faculty to develop the case studies on securities market and teach those our students.
Nice.
That is one way of teaching. Second thing is that we also want students to learn the practical aspect of the market,
Mhm.
and from that perspective, we have built our own simulation lab
Wow.
where we get live feed from the market with a certain gap,
Hmm.
and we teach our students on how do we do the trading, how the derivative strategy is designed. So
Hmm.
various aspects of the securities market are taught through this simulation lab.
Simulation lab. So a student can basically try out different strategies.
Correct,
He doesn't have to play with the real money. He can just simulate the entire strategy based on past feeds, or maybe on the
correct.
feeds that are coming from the market.
Yeah, yeah, it's become very interesting learning because what
Hmm.
happens that sometimes we try to make them a kind of game thing. So we say that okay, you now start trading,
Hmm.
then somebody makes profit, somebody make losses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a big learning actually for students, and they enjoy. I mean, ultimately, enjoying and learning if it goes together, the learning is always better.
Absolutely.
So that's the whole idea of that simulation lab. And second thing is that we you know that securities market is fully of data.
Hmm.
Means gigabyte,
Yeah,
gigabyte.
almost on an every second basis, so much data is
Yeah,
getting
yeah, yeah.
generated in the
So
securities market.
you talk about large number of trading, large number of order book. These numbers are huge,
Hmm.
and for every role in securities market, dealing with data is very important. And every employee or every student who are passing this course, we feel that you should have a one is that feel of the data,
Hmm.
understanding the data, and handling the data. So all these three things he should know about securities market.
Right, and I also read somewhere that you also recently inaugurated the data science lab. Is that something also that students get to practice something on?
Yes, yes. So that's a new creation. We last year only we have created that infrastructure, and whole purpose was that capacity building activity, be it education or training, if you apply the practical knowledge, then it learning is better. So from that perspective, this data science lab is well equipped not only high-end computers but also with the softwares who deals with the data.
Right.
So whole idea is that the students should sit there in these labs, deal with the data and learn their own on their own how to handle the big data.
Right.
So that's one area which we thought ki, while learning the theory, you should learn the practicals also.
Right. And in this whole exercise, the faculty that is teaching them, they form a backbone of this entire course. Could you also spend some light on what kind of faculty do we have? Are they pure academicians, or are they coming from the industry? Could you just throw some light on that, sir?
Yeah. So what happened is that ki, NISM is there. Means we have started our long-term courses long back in 2012-13.
Right.
So we have a faculty who was well trained to teach the securities market subject.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a theory part of it
Mm-hmm.
actually. So when we talk about practical, then what we do is that we invite large number of market intermediaries officials
Mm-hmm.
like exchanges officials or broking firms officials. So our market practitioners who are expert in the subject areas and advisors.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people we invite them to give us specific lectures on securities market. So each subject is divided into two parts. One is the theory part and then second is the practical part. And
Wow.
that is taught by the market people itself.
Wow. Wow.
In addition to that, what we do is that we also invite the SEBI officials.
Oh.
So, and in fact,
This
some
is
of,
this is very unique.
yeah,
I doubt if any of the courses that are happening in India where there are people coming from SEBI to teach.
correct. No, that's the advantage of being a institution created by the regulator, because
Right.
then what we have is that all the SEBI officers who are part of kind of regulation making or policy making in SEBI,
Hmm.
they come and visit NISM and they teach the student on the logic, rationale behind this regulation making and policy making.
Wow.
But that is very unique actually. You will not get to learn such a thing in any other institution.
Absolutely.
And another thing what we have is that we have in fact some of the regular SEBI officials also deputed at NISM
Yeah.
who are regularly teaching some of the courses in the uh,
Great.
NISM.
So we have academicians also, which obviously any academic course will need. Plus we have people coming from the industry, from all the intermediaries, the market infrastructure institutions, and plus on top of that, it's like a cherry on the top. We have
Yeah,
the SEBI officials also deputed to NISM, and they also sharing their insights. Great. What a combination, sir.
yeah. And one more important thing is that when we talk about teaching or training, ethical part is very important
Hmm.
because that is one thing we insist. So, being a regulatory institution, we say that ethical part of should be the part of every course what we teach.
Absolutely.
So, our student going from this institution should adopt those ethical practices in their work culture. So, idea is that these ethical practices should improve the work culture across the intermediaries also.
PGDM is a fully residential program. Any student who comes and takes participates in this program will be spending somewhere around 2 years at the campus. So could you just give us an idea of what kind of infrastructure, what kind of facilities are available for the students, and how these facilities help them develop both at a professional level as well as on a personal front. So,
Yeah, so when we say that education is important, but education along with the sports, if you combine, that will be a kind of a good combination. So what we feel is that today's environment, students are under a lot of stress of learning, then job prospects, various stresses are there,
mm,
and they have to be equipped to deal with the kind of winning and losing kind of thing.
mm,
So they should learn to accept what you call defeats or losses or failure.
absolutely,
And sports teaches that thing. So
absolutely.
winning and losing is part of this thing. Second thing is sports also teaches them the teamwork actually.
Mm,
So team working, winning, losing, all this teaching happens through sports. And that's the reason when we created the campus, we focus also on the sports infrastructure. And a lot of sports infrastructure has been created, which includes kind of world-class swimming pool, badminton court, squash court, tennis court. Then we also have a volleyball, basketball court. Then we have a kind of a big cricket stadium also, so which is again a
Wow.
unique thing for many institutions cannot have that such kind of infrastructure. And students are free to use all this infrastructure, and in fact, we encourage them to spend some time compulsorily in this sports activity so that their physical growth also is happening as well as mental growth is happening.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Wow, nice. Now, so coming to a very important aspect, and anybody who is taking admission in a course of this kind, would always have a question that what is the placement that he will get at the after completing this course. So could you please throw some light on what kind of placements the past students have been? What is the kind of alumni base that we have now? What are the different roles that are offered? What are the companies that come to this campus?
Hmm.
Could you just please, throw this light? And this is a very important question from our viewers' perspective also.
Yeah, so rather than talking directly about placement, what I would say is that we are the institution, we create the student to work in the corporate straight way.
Mm,
So our idea is that when the student completes the course, he is job ready.
right,
So when a student is a job ready and he has studied his course sincerely, there is no kind of dearth of job for him.
right,
And the quality of the student brings the corporate to the campus.
right.
So that is what our past experience is there. So last few years we have been doing very good placement for our students, and important institutions like market infrastructure institutions, we call them like BSc, NSC, CDSL, NSDL, or other commodity exchanges.
Oh, so these exchanges are actually your recruiters every year.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
These are the
Nice.
recruiters, not only exchanges. Then there are large number of advisory corporates or advisory companies are there.
Mm-hmm.
Research companies are there.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a lot of corporates who come for the compliance related job for their organization.
Right.
Then we have a large number of banks coming to our campus for recruiting our students for the treasury management operations actually.
Wow.
So treasury management is one of the part of our curriculum. So
Mm-hmm.
banks are very keen to recruit our students, and we have been placing them many of these banks in this thing. So what I would like to say is that rather than saying that we go to companies, companies come to us because of the quality of teaching by us
Right.
and the quality of the student which we are producing.
So there's a lot of pull factor. The industry itself is following NISM and knocking your doors to pick the right kind of students that you can.
Correct, correct, correct. And again, that's as a regulator, we say that more and more kind of professionals go into the market conduct will improve,
Correct.
and that's good for growth of the market.
Right, sir. And if I have to just ask this, what is the salary packages that these students draw once they join these firms? Is there any indicative figure that you can give, sir?
See, those details are given in the prospectus. I don't want to quote and kind of give any indication as such, but these are the uh, market driven the demand and supply kind of situation. The
Right.
packages are good,
Mm.
certainly better than the amount of money they pay here for learning. The
Mm.
fees compared to their fees, the packages are much better.
Mm.
And students can have a look at our prospectus and they can get much more detail in that thing.
So there's definitely a very good ROI that this program offers, sir.
Certainly,
And we can be assured of that.
certainly.
Great, sir. So before we conclude this podcast, sir, is there any message that you would like to give to students who are seeking admissions to this program and also to our potential recruiters, sir?
Yes. For student, basically any student who want to make a career and in securities market, he should have a passion of learning in securities market, because without passion only academic learning will not be useful for him. And he should try to learn and adopt the practical aspect of securities market, and then it will help him to get the employment. Beside that, he should not think only about getting an employment. He should also think about having his own kind of business activity, be it investor advisor, research analyst, or portfolio manager. So he should learn from that perspective, develop his knowledge, and take a career decision. Second thing is for the recruiters. What I would say is that our students are not only learning the fundamental knowledge or theoretical knowledge, they also have a practical knowledge.
Right,
So
sir.
when they have a practical knowledge, they are almost job ready. So once the student is passed out in PGDM course, he need not give to be given additional training for directly working in his on his desk actually. So to that extent, our students are job ready, and it would be a great opportunity for the recruiters to recruit our students and build their own institutions. That's a great opportunity.
Thank you very much for your valuable insights, sir. I'm sure our viewers have a much better understanding of the PGDM program now and what unique opportunities it offers. To all our viewers, if you are really passionate about the world of finance and want to make a meaningful career in the world of securities market, please do check what NISM has to offer. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you.